Welcome back to the Simpatico Podcast, the pop culture podcast where we sit down to discuss what we're passionate about. I'm your co-host, Joshua Witsaman.
And I'm your other co-host, David Tavolier. I fixed my camera, and I'm ready now.
I'm glad we got the intro down, we got the camera straightened out, and we are back for another episode of the podcast. It's been a while. How have you been, David Tavolier?
Good. Good and busy. We got some things in the works.
Yeah.
Trying to get shit done. And I think I have, and it's felt good.
We've got some multimedia projects happening that David Tavolier is really putting some effort into. So we haven't recorded a podcast since Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes. And I've done very unsummary things. We're now in August.
You went sled riding?
No, I just nice. I just been inside doing things that you do inside and nothing outside. I look outside and it's like, oh, it's a nice day out. And then I don't do anything out there.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
I think about it. I dream about it.
It's hot.
I fantasize about going outside and doing something, but I never actually do it. But
one of these days.
I can live with that, knowing that I've been getting some things done. How about you? How have you been?
Oh, good. We've been busy.
Did you go on vacation somewhere?
Yeah. We went to up to Michigan recently.
Nice.
To Frankenmuth. Yeah, it's basically a tourist trap up in Michigan, and it's just full of chintz and schmaltz, and it's got the world's largest Christmas store.
Oh, sorry.
World's largest penis there also. You got to find it though. They don't tell you where that is. It's an adventure. But anyway, yeah, we've been busy doing, little family vacation-y things, so that's been good. But what are we talking about today?
Well, I mean, this is sort of an impromptu episode because there was just a release of a movie.
Sure was.
On Hulu, online, for streaming, not in theaters.
Yeah, which we'll discuss about that.
But there was a new entry in the franchise known as the Predator franchise.
Yes.
It's called Prey, not called Predator, which I think.
What a twist.
I think is pretty cool.
Directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
In anticipation of the movie, because I was like, oh, this looks great, and I heard early reactions were positive, and I rewatched all the Predator movies for the heck of it, because they're all...
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? Yeah, we just... why not?
Well, and I'm eager to talk about this. It is, and I could have sworn we've talked about this before, but I went back and was looking at our episodes, and we haven't done a Predator episode yet.
I didn't think so. That's why I texted you. I was like, I didn't even know if you liked the Predator movies. I don't know why. I don't. Like I said, it's something that I can't believe you wouldn't like. But
well, it hurts me.
I couldn't remember actually.
It hurts me.
I'm sorry
because you and I saw Predators.
I had that thought right after. I was like, you know what? We actually probably saw Predators together.
Yeah,
and that was ringing a bell.
Crying on the inside.
That was like
I know that was 2000. I think that was actually because when did we start the podcast? 2013. Because we're coming up on like
2014,
something like that.
But Predators that was
2010. Yeah. So that was before we. But it is surprising that we haven't done a Predators episode. So we're doing an impromptu Predators episode. We're going to talk about the movies in general, the franchise. Again, you just rewatched them all. I haven't seen. I've seen most of them. I haven't rewatched. I haven't watched them recently. But so I'm excited to hear your thoughts and discuss.
Sure.
Based on
have you seen them all? Including you said you saw the 2 Alien v Predator movies. But you haven't seen Predator.
Yes, the only one I haven't seen is The Predator. So I'm interested to hear, because I did read the plot, though. I went up on Wikipedia, because I was like, I don't even know what... I had totally forgotten that movie even existed until you mentioned it. And then I went and looked at it.
If that movie had been better, I feel like we probably would have done an episode then. Because I remember being excited for it, and then I heard nothing but bad things about it. And I just never saw it, and just it kind of just came and went. But I did
that's the
watch
same.
that for the first time recently. So I guess and obviously, and then Prey. We both watched it. And,
yes.
We'll talk about that too. Review that. There you go. So Predator.
And there's going to be probably spoilers. Just FYI, if you're not familiar with the Predator franchise, we're probably going to talk about spoilers.
Do you want me
If you haven't seen Prey, we'll probably have.
What about The Predator? Do you want me to spoil that for you?
Please do spoil it. I mean, I'll watch it. But like I said, I went on Wikipedia and I read the whole like plot summary of it. So.
Not to jump the gun, but it is. I watched it, and it's one of those movies that, like, while I was watching, I was like, oh, "This is really stupid," and I hate that. And this is dumb. But then when it was done, like, wasn't that mad that I watched it? I was like, "Well, they had some." Then I remembered, like, there's some, like, you still get like Predator moments, and there's like the Predator's still cool in it, and.
It adds something to the franchise.
It was like, yeah.
It doesn't completely detract.
I don't think it's a complete waste of time to watch it. Like, I'm not saying it's necessarily worth your time, but I'm not saying it's not.
If you're trying to jump if you're trying to jump into the Predator franchise, you wouldn't suggest like starting with that movie.
No.
But if you're doing like you did a Predator marathon, you would not skip it.
Well, that's what's funny. So correct, and which is interesting you say that because I saw someone online asking, like, hey, I've never seen a Predator movie. Would I be able to watch Prey without having seen one before? And then it made me think of, like, this franchise as a whole, that, like, you can kind of watch most of them without having seen the Predator. Because they're all the same basic plot in a way. There's, there's an alien species that comes down and is hunting human for sport. Or humans are sent somewhere where they're hunted for sport by the species. But
well, that's what I was watching it with Lauren, my wife, and she was like, I mean, I think she's probably seen at least the first one, but it's been years. And like we were sitting there watching, and she's like, "So what's the Predator's deal?" And I said, "Well, he predates, and that's what it is. He's an alien that hunts people." And
I mean, if you're watching Prey,
collects trophies.
Say like. This movie kind of unfolds in a basic way, unfolds exactly like the first Predator movie. So you're getting exactly what that movie reveals.
Yeah.
Because also they don't go as much into the Predator species and their like origin or their planet really in these movies, and they don't get that specific. Unless you read unless you read the comics, which I haven't. Like I feel.
Yeah, there's deeper content.
They have a name.
If you want it.
The species have a name. And I saw it, and I forget it already, but it's...
Well, if you're looking for those kind of answers, this is not the podcast for you, because we don't know.
We're just talking about the movies. All the information you can get from just watching the movies.
Yeah.
But, when did you first see the Predator, I'm sorry. 1987, the year I was born.
Yeah. I probably didn't see it until, like, Predator 2 came out, and... which was 90 something, I think.
Did you see Predator 2 first?
I don't think I ever saw... I can't remember, because I've talked about this before. My father would take me to age-inappropriate movies all the time. I went to see RoboCop at like 5 or 6, and Beetlejuice at like whatever. This movie... I mean, Beetlejuice is not that... But it's just, for a littler kid, it's like a little shocking. But, and I believe my dad took me to see, Play Misty for Me, the Clint Eastwood movie. Like, it was just I don't know. Anyway.
That's a fun romp.
Yeah. But anyway, I can't remember if I saw Predator 2 in the theater. But either at like a sleepover or whatever, we watched Predator. Around the time that Predator 2 came out. And I remember watching it and just like, just thinking, even at the time, like how great of a plot that was, that it just kind of starts off as just this like action war movie, and then just suddenly there's an alien involved that like shows up and fucks shit up. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things in movies you don't see a lot nowadays is I love a turn in a movie. Like, biggest example for me is like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, that's another one.
It's a completely different
movie.
movie.
So good, yeah.
And that's why I think Predator works so well, is because like it just the first, like, you're already invested in the movie. Like, if no Predator had shown up, it still would have been, like, an entertaining, good, like, action flick. Like, that scene in the camp where they're trying to get those hostages is, like, really awesome.
When they introduce all the characters really well, you get little snippets of their personalities and their relationships and stuff, like, pretty quick. It's good, like, character development, like, quickly in the movie.
By the way, another reason I asked you if you were a fan of the Predator movies, because if you hadn't, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you had told me, the only one I've seen is The Predator, or Alien versus Predator, or something like that, with your track record of seeing the worst.
yeah.
Like Mad Max. So you haven't seen the Mad Max, so that's sort of adjacent to this. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I watched a fun. There's a little making of it, short, like half-hour documentary on the making of Predator, and learned some things that I did not know, which I think are very interesting. And I don't know how much you know.
Such as. Well,
for one big instance, the big thing for me, which I did not know about, was there was a different Predator costume. There was a different Predator design creature outfit. Were you aware of that? Like like initially, when they were like halfway through filming.
Oh, no, I don't think I did know that.
Yeah, so there's like they were filming the movie already, and the costume, whoever's creating the creature effects for the first iteration, they're like, they were like, it's coming. It worked out, so it wasn't going to arrive until they were like halfway through shooting, which is a weird, kind of terrifying.
But also kind of works for that movie again, because you sort of have like,
well, yeah, but like
halfway through the movie. But
here's what happened though. It showed up, and the creature design just looked terrible.
Stupid.
You can find this documentary on YouTube. But and another weird fact. So this suit arrives, and it looks like, you can Google original Predator outfit, and you'll see like set photos of it. Yeah, do it right now.
I'm gonna do it while you're talking. Continue.
But so it comes. It looks terrible. It's not like what they were kind of hoping for, and not only that, but for whatever reason, they only did a couple shots. They did like one day of shooting with it, and when they realized, this isn't gonna work. But the guy in the suit for it was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a weird fact.
Like, what?
Then they got rid of the outfit, and he wasn't part of the movie anymore. But like, I think it was like an early.
Like he did it. Like he made the outfit. They're like, this isn't going to work out, and you're fired for wearing that costume.
Just a really weird factoid. But so they just like send it back, and we're like, we need
it looks more like a bug.
Yes.
It looks like sort of a cross between. It looks sort of like a cross between what we eventually get with the Predator and like a xenomorph.
Yeah, it looks like exactly. And actually,
and then this you can see it is very buggy. Like
yeah, yeah. And there was like, if you watch the documentary, they show like in motion, and it's like
I can see. Yeah,
it's not nearly as cool looking. I mean, it's not a bad design, but it's like it looks very like 50s horror movie, like alien movie, like drive-in movie.
Oh, and there's a picture with Jean-Claude Van Damme in the costume too.
Oh yeah,
if you can see it, but
I was looking at
his like face sticking out of the neck. Anyway, that's crazy.
But then they sent it back, and then they got a hold of Stan Winston, the maestro, the master.
When in doubt,
and because he had worked with Arnold, obviously doing Terminator stuff, Terminator designs, and which is like, why didn't you just go to him in the first place if he's like the best in the business?
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. Maybe he wasn't.
He
wasn't as known for it at the time. I don't know. But that fucking creature design is good. It's so good. Every time I see it, it's just like,
and it's one of those things too where it could have been interesting because the Predator's invisible and stuff, you can't really see him, so it could have been like intriguing for the plot and the movie. But then, because there's other examples of that where you see the monster finally or whatever, and you're like, nah. And if they would have kept that design, it would have been the same thing, where it's like, meh. It would have been really. Or you only get like brief flashes of it. You wouldn't get like any focus on it at all. It would just be like a quick like blurb, and then like, oh, you kind of see it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad when you do see it in the first movie that you actually like spend some time like seeing it and like see it move and like.
Well, it's got the perfect progression. Like I feel like as the movie goes on, it sort of exponentially gets shown more. And I like the helmets are okay, but I love it when you take the helmet. I think it's way cooler without the helmet. So like that's always the best moment when he finally like takes him off. Unnecessarily, kind of, in a way.
Yeah, why would he? If I mean, you're this
just
technological
growl at whoever he's trying to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's there's what more can you really say about the Predator? Obviously, it's the classic. It's
and agree, and all the actors in that are great, and everybody.
John McTiernan, who directed it, also I did not realize. Also, the following year, went on to direct Die Hard, and he's got a good track record.
Yeah,
he did Die Hard. He did he did Die Hard. He did Die Hard with a Vengeance. He did Last Action Hero as well.
Oh yeah, Last Action. I remember that's one I've been meaning to go back and watch actually because
and The Hunt for Red October.
I've wanted to just go back and watch that because I remember liking that as a kid, but
I think it's on streaming somewhere.
Yeah, it is. I have it on my some wish list, watch list along the way. Let's quickly talk about Predator 2.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing I wanted to throw in there about Predator. Another thing I like about it is, isn't it kind of interesting that you don't really think of it as an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah.
In a way. That's one that, every other movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger's been in, you kind of just think of it as it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. But, Predator is the one thing that's just, he's in the first one, but it's not known for Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's obviously a great first lead, but they've never brought him back in any of the sequels.
No.
You don't think of... It was when I was, we were watching these movies and stuff, just think about the Predator, I, very rarely thought of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and in fact, in Predators, the 2010 one, I was actually kind of disappointed that the Lawrence Fishburne character wasn't Danny Glover returning, because I thought that would have been cool, in that moment to have just Danny Glover show up and just So that is interesting. That is a good point, though. That's
I think it's a good testament to the franchise, because Terminator, you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's hard to. They've made one movie without him, and they try, but it's just it's almost it's hard to watch Terminator without Arnold. So synonymous with that franchise and everything else he's done. So, but that's what I really like about this franchise. That even though he's in that first one, it's kind of funny how it's not really.
And I could be imagining this too, but I feel and Arnold is actually, he's a decent actor for what he's for what he does, but I feel this was one of his better acted movies too. I don't know. I just it is
he's
good.
Playing
but
the role, his main role he should be playing is a commanding leader or something, or some sort of soldier who's a big brute. Guy. He plays a good leader, he's tactical and whatnot. But But anyway, obviously Predator, great.
No, that is good point.
Stone cold classic. Predator 2. And what do you think of Predator 2? I thought you it's a very divisive Predator.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those movies that I think has really softened too. As I think we'll discuss, I think Prey is a testament to that. That it really was kind of disliked as a follow-up to the first movie.
Yeah.
And
it's a hard one to follow.
It's a classic, and it's just a great opening to a franchise. Which I don't think has ever been matched either. I think they do a good job of these Predator movies, but they're either just kind of reiterating this first one, or they go too far and make it weird. Anyway, but I like the second one, and I think that's a good follow-up. Actually, I love the jungle setting of the first movie, but then I love the urban setting of the second movie. There's obviously things that aren't great with the second movie. It just gets a little it's just weird, weird things that they try to do.
That's the biggest thing is most people talk about how because for one thing it's they do just that random thing where they filmed it in I think 1989, but they set it in 1997. So almost 10 years in the future for some reason. Rewatching it, because I hadn't seen this one in a while. I do kind of love that hyper realistic, just overly kind of weird, grungy. It's everything in Predator 2. Every character and set piece looks like the background of a Street Fighter game or something. Like it all looks very, very like early 90s, late 80s, like, and I kind of love it for that. Like it's kind of it just like, I don't know, it's pure nostalgia, I think, but just like seeing it, I think it just gives a weird character to the film.
Yeah, well, it's similar. I always think of when I watch movies of that era, it's just similar to I think Batman, the Tim Burton Batman, where it's like, and that takes that sort of concept to an artistic level where like all the backgrounds and stuff are very stylized, and it's just a very like Gotham itself in that movie is like a character in the movie and like very weird and like interesting. But they do that like in those late 80s, early 90s movies where they're trying, especially stuff set in the sci-fi.
RoboCop.
RoboCop, Total Recall.
Yeah, RoboCop is like, I love it, and I know that would turn maybe some people off, but I think it's fun. I think
it is. It's interesting, and it's just
everyone's
like
all sweaty. Everyone's everyone's like it's supposed to be super hot LA.
Yeah, so well, yeah, they're having like
apparently no air conditioner anywhere. So yeah, like, they're in the police station. Everyone's just got like everyone's sweating, got like
armpit sweat.
And Also, it's funny how this is another one where I always kind of forget that Bill Paxton's in this movie.
Yeah,
he's just like he's in every fucking cool franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. He really
like
shows
in all the main, which not to jump ahead again, but for the second Alien Predator movie, Requiem, I guess they asked Bill Paxton to have a cameo in it because that way he would have be in the second film of every big franchise of all the Alien Predator franchise, because he's in the second Aliens movie, he's in the second Predator movie, and then he would be in the second Alien vs. Predator movie, but it didn't work out.
But, that's a shame, because that would have been awesome.
And he's kind of a funny character because he like starts off like you think, oh, this guy's gonna be an asshole, like this guy's, and he is, but like he ends up being like kind of likable and actually not that bad guy.
Which is that's sort of his wheelhouse too. Yeah, I mean, he always starts off as like the abrasive like jerk, but then he like you find out he's like, oh, he's all right. He's not the real villain. This is he's better than the real villain.
Yeah, I like this movie. I love, like you said, I like this change in setting, that abrupt change in setting. I think is good for a franchise like this. Like, you're not retreading the same ground. Yes. But I understand why you might think it's inferior. Danny Glover's a fair. I like Danny Glover, but like he's probably not as strong as a lead as like an Arnold Schwarzenegger or even Adrian Brody. I think is really good in the next film we're talking about. But
and I think. I was going to save this for when we get into Prey, but I'm going to talk about it now. I think, since we're talking about the whole franchise, I think when the Predator movies are at their best is when you have, and not counting the Alien versus Predator movies, but the Predator movies themselves, when you have like basically a good character drama like happening, and just like a character-driven story happening, and then a Predator shows up. Like, those are the best. I think that's what you need to do. That's the formula that needs to happen for a good Predator movie. When you get up your own ass,
the formula needs to happen mythology. For most movies, for most horror movies and sci-fi movies. Like,
but when you get up your own ass about like the Predator mythology, and they start trying to get too deep into like, I mean, even in Predators, they kind of almost they skirt that edge. Yeah. When they get into like the Uber Predator or whatever it is that is hunting the other. I mean, which that kind of works, but and again, but you don't want to retread the same stuff and just keep making the same movie over and over. So I kind of it is a difficult balance, but Prey I think nails that that perfectly, and we'll talk about it. But anyway,
by the way, speaking of Prey, did you happen to recognize the significance of the gun she has at the end?
I didn't at first.
Okay.
But I knew it was like there because they showed like the close up of the inscription and stuff, and I'm like, what was? But I had forgotten, that in Predator 2, at the end, the Predators give Danny Glover the flintlock musket, and I was like, oh shit, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I probably would have forgotten, but I had literally just rewatched Predator 2, so and I was reading into it, and because apparently they made a comic book at some point explaining the origin of that rifle, but it's like an old comic book, so who cares? But I was definitely surprised at the end of Prey when they typed it. I thought it was cool.
I almost, and I'm glad I haven't because I don't really want to know, but I almost got on like the Predator Reddit and was gonna like just see how.
Oh, I actually went on there. I went there too. Yeah.
Well, what were the reactions? Because I didn't want to know because
like
I for something like that I figured people would be pissed. Like,
oh well, in the comic, like they already gave the.
Yeah, actually, people have been mostly Predator fans have been mostly positive about it.
Well, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear
which
that.
I'm surprised. Yeah, because there was a lot of like, I think there's some rumblings of your typical fan that's like, oh, this is gonna be too woke because there's a girl who's fighting and a girl can't fight a predator and that sort of thing. But I've actually been surprised at how not much of that there is, and that people actually seem to enjoy Prey a lot. So it's pretty cool.
Which brings up the question of why it wasn't in theaters, which we'll talk about when we get to Prey. Yeah. But let's move on to what's next in the franchise. Is it Predators or is it an Alien versus Predator?
Well, technically it's Alien v Predator.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay. Well, we can it's separate.
Let's talk about those because I did. These were interesting to watch because I mentioned to you I think before we recorded that I'd seen Alien versus Predator. I saw that when it came out. And had not seen Requiem. And they're not.
It's always a good start.
They're not great. They're one of those things though. Because this came out also shortly after Freddy vs. Jason. Remember that? Yeah. And it's easy to like shit on these movies, but they do, and this includes Freddy vs. Jason, they do deliver on just like seeing those creatures fight, like collide and fight it out. So they're actually, I find them quite entertaining, actually. I found them fun to watch.
I'll have to go back and watch the first Alien versus Predator. I saw that. I think it was one of the only movies I've ever gone to by myself. Like, I think I was gonna go. I tried to get Lauren to go with me, but she was just like, I have no desire to see that. So, and I was just like in a pissy mood anyway. So I was just like, well, I want to go see this movie, and I went and saw it by myself. So maybe I was in a bad mood too at the time.
But I remember and the characters in both are pretty stupid.
I remember again. I think the first one was sort of up its own ass too much about like how the aliens got.
It's got a really stupid backstory. I was just realized that as you said, it's got this very overly convoluted. Actually, you know what? It's very similar to the plot of Prometheus.
Yeah, well, and that's what.
It like basically implies that the Predators had been here around the time of the Egyptians and the Aztecs and like all these old ancient civilizations and like helped build the pyramids, and then they used those to I think they even implant the eggs in the pyramid, and then there's some ritual where they were going to come back and like fight them, and it doesn't make any sense. But, I do like Prometheus. That part also very much, but that's a side. That's different. That's a whole nother. That's another podcast episode. Yeah. Yeah. So, but the pyramid they're in, the idea behind it is really stupid. Although I think as a set piece, it's kind of cool and interesting. Yeah, it's interesting like, once the action happens. It's this weird moving pyramid where it's almost like they're in that movie. What's that movie? The Cube or whatever, where it's just like this folding puzzle thing. It reminded me too of was it 13 Ghosts that had like there was like in the basement of the house where they had like the clear it was a moving, shifting kind of maze house. Yeah, I rewatched that not that long ago. That's another movie that's dumb but fun. Like it's an entertaining movie. It's an outrageous horror movie. I have fond memories of that. Again, just it like in my mind as I was watching that, I was like, this is not good, but I'm enjoying it. Like, and when this came out too, because I think I was really into Aliens for when I discovered Aliens. That was huge. It was like a big franchise. I was like, awesome. And it took me, and I didn't watch Predator. I didn't even know about Predator for a while after that. Like I didn't even know what Predator was, and then all of a sudden I discovered it once and watched the movies, and then not shortly after they released Alien vs. Predator. So I was like, well, this is awesome. I didn't realize all this. And we didn't mention, but in the end of Predator 2, there's a xenomorph skull. And, that's right. That was the big already. They had already done comics, I guess, crossover comics before. Well, and there was a video game. So it was more like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
So it was more of an Easter egg and less of like, we're going to do this someday.
Which I think that's what I was mostly upset was the video game, again, just had a simple plot of like, it's the Space Marines and they chase the alien or whatever. They chase I don't even remember what the plot was, but basically they chase the aliens to this planet and it happened to be like a predator planet. So you had like the Space Marines and the aliens and the predators like all like fucking like fighting. And that was just like, oh yeah, that would be, let's just make that into a movie. And then I sat down and it's just like there's these fucking pyramids and they're implanting the eggs and then
the lore and the timelines of the aliens or predators are just fucked. And I don't think they make any sense because then Requiem is like in like a suburban present day time.
Yeah.
So which means it would have to take place, I think, before aliens. Like you would think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't like paying that.
Yeah. It would be before aliens because that's in the future. That's like. Yeah,
unless there's somewhere in the movie where they said it's the year 3000, even though everything looks like it's
even it's like they're just like wearing Nikes and just have cars.
Yeah, in Requiem I hadn't seen, but I watched it and I was kind of entertained by that one. It was a little scary, like it was a little dark. It was a very dark movie, like filmed very dark. But I thought, again, both these movies, even when they're bad, the creatures always look really cool, and the aliens, both the Predator and the aliens look cool, I feel.
The thing I remember about Requiem, and I had watched that, it's been a while since I've watched that too, but I remember liking that better than the first Alien vs. Predator, but I remember it also having a lot of like just Halloween, the movie Halloween vibes of just being like set in a neighborhood, and like people don't really know what the hell's going on. And like it was just like the aliens and the predators were like just brawling. It was just
it was
in
a cool
the sewer
setting
and stuff.
They even and it's very brutal too. Like they kill a kid like right off the bat, and they kill a bunch of pregnant women, and it's like it goes hard.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they like just went for it instead of just like because the big criticism of the first Alien vs. Predator was that it was PG-13.
Yeah,
like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, and I think it helps having that human element, which again I think you needed to have like the Space Marines or some other like human element involved. And in that first one, there just really isn't that.
The characters in Alien vs. Predator, the first one, I'm gonna say AVP because that's all.
Yeah, that's fine.
The characters aren't so bad in the first AVP. They're horrendous in this and Requiem.
Well,
they're just, every character in there is really stupid and just very.
You want them all to die.
Look, right? Yeah. The first one not too bad. Also, the first one was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed the Resident Evil movies, which I'm not a fan of. As a fan of that franchise, I remember when it came out.
Who directed Requiem?
There's actually these two brothers who don't do a lot of directing, but they do a lot of creature work. They do a lot of effects work, which I think is why the actual movie looks pretty good, except with the exception of being really dark visually. The creatures look cool, and I think it's not so bad in this. Even up till then, they're still showing like the predator, like the practical predator effects. Also, in the first AVP, the Queen alien apparently is like the biggest animatronic creature since the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, I guess, at that time. It's like the biggest like puppet ever made. Don't know if it's been surpassed yet, but because it was like a big giant with like a ton of moving parts and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are movies.
Well, while we're on the Alien vs. Predator track,
go ahead.
Real quick question.
Yeah, definitely.
Which one are you rooting for? Alien or Predator? Like in real life, like if they came down, not that if you're not involved, like getting killed by either one, but like
I feel like the Predator, because there's a little bit more reasoning with a Predator, there's a little bit more chance that a Predator won't kill you because you could like reason with it in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
An alien is just this horrible giant monster that just doesn't give a fuck and wants to impregnate you. And the death from like an alien is like way worse.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if I had to be killed by one, I definitely would go for Predator.
Have an alien
just cut your
burst
head
from
off
your chest, but Predators will just fuck you up and kill you.
But I think if as far as like taking over the Earth or whatever, like I think I would be rooting for the aliens though, because The more I think about the Predator, the more I just think, he's just, and it really is exemplified in Prey, but he's just very much the colonialist, big game hunter, who's just fucking up, who thinks they can just go wherever they want and just take whatever they want, make their little trophies, and so I'd rather just have like a Lovecraftian mindless horror come down and just wipe us all out than
okay. I will say I actually really do like the Predator himself in Requiem, because he's basically, and I was reading behind the scenes that like they kind of set him up as like a fixer, to the point where his name is even Wolf. They call him Wolf is his name in the movie, and he's named after Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction. That's awesome. Because if you watch it, like that is basically what he's doing. He they show him, and that's the only movie they show the Predator home planet, by the way. But they show him like get the message that this has happened, and he's like one movie where he's not hunting humans for sport. He's actually got
he's at home smoking a cigarette, and he gets a
kind of he's flats at home, and he's like, wait, I gotta go. And that's basically what he does, is he has to go on and just wipe out these aliens. I think
that's true.
Kind of a fun plot point. That's you don't see in the other Predator movies. The rest of them, they're just hunting for sport. But this one, he's like a fixer Predator that's just there to get rid of the
Well, see, and that's why they learned their lesson, and then went to the plot of Predators, where you just take the prey and you put it on your own planet. Then you don't have to worry about like cleaning up after yourself.
Yeah. Predators.
So let's talk about Predators real quick,
man. And we were talking about this via text, but like this is such an underrated movie to me.
It really is. I remember when it first came out, like not being well received, like initially, like
it did pour at the box
widely.
Office.
I really liked it though. I look back at that movie and I think it was a great, especially after the Alien versus Predator movies, that Predator 2, which generally people didn't like or whatever. I mean, I enjoyed, but I think it kind of returned to the roots. It did, again, like I said, verges a little too much into like the up their own ass about the mythology of the Predators and stuff. But I think it was if you would have done something, they would have had a follow-up that would have dealt with that a little bit more, dealt with like those, what did they call them? I don't remember, like the bigger Predators. They called them like an Uber Predator.
Oh, yeah. Or, shit, I can't remember.
Mega Predator. I don't know. I looked that up. But basically, if you haven't seen Predators, at the end, Berserker Predator. They have like a bigger Predator that actually hunts Predators. Which, I mean, it makes sense. Like if they're trying to find the ultimate prey to hunt that hunts them, like you would go after another Predator. But whatever, they have some code or I don't know what, but
so interesting about this movie too. So this was not directed by, but it was written by Robert Rodriguez, who we've talked about a lot recently, actually, because of Boba Fett. He apparently wrote the script for this like not long after Predator 2, like early 90s. They never made it because the budget would be too much, because it is set on a different planets. But yeah, I guess, and then they called Robert Rodriguez back like 15 years later, and they're like, you know what? We should have made this right off the bat. Like, we made all this other shit, but we should have. This would have been better. Yeah, I don't know why it came to, but it did. And I think probably why some people were saying ambivalent about it is maybe because it's the most similar to the original, and there's too much comparing it to the original.
Yeah,
as far as like being, but. That's what I like about it, is because it's like the original, but it's different.
Well, and especially if they had in the trailers and stuff, they kind of gave it away. You know what the plot was, like they're on a Predator play. If you wouldn't have known that, if you would have just like kind of like snuck that in, I think that would have had a greater impact, because it just looks like a jungle, and then in the movie they slowly realize like, oh wait, we're on a alien planet, and then you realize what's happened, like.
Also, this has a great cast.
Who else was in this? I don't remember now off the top of my head.
Because I remember being like disappointed by Adrian Brody, and when I first saw this, I was like, oh, he's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I don't know, rewatching this, like he's really good in this.
He is.
You got Topher Grace.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot
Walton Goggins, who like at the time I probably didn't really know, but now he's like in a bunch of stuff. And he's great. Danny Trejo's in it.
Yeah, I remember him.
The biggest surprise to me was Mahershala Ali.
Oh yeah,
Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali. Yeah.
Mahershala.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even realize he was in there. God, yeah, that's an all-star cast.
Yeah, and there's this Alice Braga lady. I don't know who she is, but she was good in it. The Russian dude, some Russian actor, Oleg Taktarov.
Yep,
then
you hit that right.
And the Japanese guy, the Yakuza. He's like the Yakuza.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, great cast. And then they meet up with Lawrence Fishburne, who's also always great. And like you mentioned before, he was in the script originally going to be Danny Glover's character, which I'm okay with him not being that.
It just would have been a nice connection. It would have been like a nice acknowledgement of like the second movie. But I mean, it's not necessary. It's like you're introducing though like another character that could have just easily been like Danny Glover's character. But anyway, it's fine.
Oh, and by the way, sorry, you go ahead.
No, I didn't. I was going
to mention. So, do you remember how long has it been since you've seen this movie?
It's been a while. I mean, probably. I think I saw it again in theaters after we saw it. So I think I've only seen it twice in the theaters.
These are all on Hulu, except for The Predator. These are all on Hulu. I don't know.
I'll have to rewatch
it. But if you do want to, if anyone listening wants to rewatch these movies, they are on Hulu. But there's a scene which I didn't really remember, but they think it's the Predator. There's a part where they hear something in the forest, and they shoot it, and then it turns out to not be the Predator, but it turns out to be this other creature. And actually, the creature itself is it's not exactly, but it's very similar in design to that original Predator outfit from the first movie. A little homage,
That's a nice little,
Yeah, that was cool. I really like the. I don't know why I really like this, but I really like how Topher Grace's character. He seems like the odd man out, and he mentioned that he's a doctor, so you think, oh, they sent him a medic. They sent a medic with them. Like that's cool. But then they slowly reveals that that's not why he's there. It turns out
he's a sick bastard.
He's a serial killer. Yeah, I thought it was great, and I think that's a cool.
Yeah,
it's a good movie, man.
And you know what? Topher Grace as a bad guy is great, and I that's why initially in Spider-Man 3, I remember hearing it was going to be Venom, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But he was actually I think pretty decent as Venom, and like a good like mirror of Peter Parker, and he was good in this. Like when he plays a villain well. He plays a crazy person well.
Yeah. What do you think of the Predator? Do you remember the Predators in this? Like how they look, and they all. I had a hard time distinguishing them, but they do. There's 3 of them initially.
Yeah.
And they all have kind of different looks.
I remember them all being cool. I do remember being kind of like. I didn't really like the Berserker look. I don't know what it was about it, but it was like,
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's hard to improve on that design. Like it's like they tried to make something different and bigger and scary, but it's like that original Predator.
You're not going to beat that.
Perfect, yeah. Which is precursor to my feelings about Prey, but because I believe the design in Prey is like designed after the Berserker in this a little bit. They got the wider eyes. And whatever.
Yeah.
That was cool, in my opinion. But, I don't know. I feel like this movie never got a fair shake. And I really wanted a prequel. So they were going to do a prequel of it. Or, not prequel, a sequel to this. That would have been Royce, Adrian Brody's characters, and Isabel, 2 survivors at the end. They were going to be like escaping onto a Predator ship. And like and it was going to revolve around them like trying to survive on the ship, and they described it as like Die Hard in space, basically. Should have been a really fun
well, maybe the success of Prey will have another it'll be like the plot of Predators, like they'll go back to that 15 years later.
I saw I guess Adrian Brody said like he volunteered to come, like if they wanted to bring him back for the Predator, he threw his hat in the ring, like, hey, if you want to bring him back. So he seems like he's game to reprise that character.
Yeah. I'd be all for it. I'd love to
see.
And that'd be a fun little just way to do the franchise. Just we're gonna make just sequels to the movies, but they're not gonna be in any order. It's just gonna be whatever, it's just we're just gonna have stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So tell me about the
Yeah.
I want to hear about The Predator. Because again, Predators is great.
But...
Yeah, Predators is great. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch that. Rewatch it if you didn't like it.
It's just
I think it's just got a bad shake.
So The Predator,
is
directed and written by Shane Black.
Yes, that's right.
For those who don't know, is one of the soldiers in the original Predator. He's not an actor typically. He's a writer, but in the first Predator, he was actually hired to possibly touch up or rewrite the script of that movie, and but he ended up not. But they weren't sure, so they're like, "Hey, we'll put you in the movie if you volunteer to do this if we need it." They sure, so they flew him out, and they just never rewrote the script. So he's just kind of in the first Predator movie without, for no real reason. But but he's got obviously, so he's got ties to the franchise. So this movie, and I like Shane Black, but he is much like Iron Man 3. Like when he's doing a franchise movie or something that's not like an original thing of his, it clashes a little bit, I think, with his sense of writing and because every character. So the biggest downfall of this movie is the characters. I feel like they're all just there's a lot of quips going on. Like everyone's it's not a great story structure, and the characters are all not very likable, and it's just them making quips at each other, and everything's a joke, one of those things, and it just. Now
this came out in 2018. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you think it suffered because a lot of criticisms of the post Marvel, post Guardians of the Galaxy is that a lot of movies try to match that Guardians of the Galaxy energy of all the quips and all the little banter and stuff. Do you think it suffers from that?
Possibly.
Do you think it's one of the movies that's affected by that?
I mean, maybe, but it is also Shane Black, and that's what he does.
Yeah,
Whether it's The Nice Guys or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, those movies are that.
True.
But they're
true.
They work better than there because they're original movies and they're different characters. So it just sometimes feels out of place. And this movie, the plot, there's some good set pieces, but I don't know. It's a little convoluted and just it's I don't know. Again, I didn't wasn't having fun watching it while I was, and then when it was over, I was like, wasn't a total waste of time. I guess there were some cool moments.
Well, and the one thing that I found interesting when I was reading about the plot is, I guess they find out that the Predators have been mixing their DNA with human DNA or something. What is that? What is that plot?
I don't even remember because it isn't one of those movies where they do a lot of exposition really quickly and I was also admittedly only half paying attention by the point they were talking about that, so just kind of this is.
Yeah, see again, and that's that. It goes back to that whole thing of just getting into the mythology, trying to add some sort of background that you don't need to these movies.
Well, spoilers too. So the main character in this movie has a son who's autistic, and they do this thing in the movie where they're talking about how, I forget how he finds it out, but the Predator wants the kid eventually at one point because they talk about how autism. I don't know if it's true or not, but this idea that this autism is a step in the evolutionary chain. So the Predator then wants him because of...
You're going to be the next Predator, kid.
But they basically implies that they are blending their DNA with the best predators they find in order to make themselves better. It's just a little convoluted. Yeah, it's just a little convoluted and dumb. And it's got a decent cast, but they're just all kind of wasted, I feel. Thomas Jane's in this movie. Keegan-Michael Key's in it. Sterling K. Brown's in it. It's it's a good cast. Jake Busey's in it.
Jesus.
Gary Busey.
Hey, there's a tie.
He's supposed to be playing the son of that character.
Oh, really? Well, that's great. Then I like that.
They don't say it, but they've said behind the scenes, and his name is the same.
That's awesome.
They do have one tie in this movie, though. They've acknowledged in the Alien franchise that this movie, or that the Alien v Predator movies aren't tied in, but there is an AVP Easter egg in this movie, where at one point they show, I don't know if you remember the first Alien vs Predator movie, At the end, the Predator makes like a customary staff made out of the alien tail and gives it to the girl in that movie. That staff's in this movie, so it's like,
no,
it's a fun Easter egg, and it's if you're so concerned with lore or whatever, then it's all over the place. But if you're not, who cares? Yeah, there's not much else to say. There's a really big mega predator in it, who actually I saw a lot of people complaining about because he is all CGI, but I actually thought he looked kind of cool. I thought he looked decent considering that he was all CGI, but that's just me. Anyway,
yeah,
that's all I have to say really about that.
All right, great.
Let's talk about the improvement they made by making the movie Prey.
Let's talk about it, because let me start off by saying I really liked this movie. I thought it was great. I thought it was a perfect addition to the franchise. It did exactly what I said. You had the character drama. You had a new setting. Mm-hmm. It's sort of a prequel. We're going 300 years in the past. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just the great decision. The way that it's written is great. You could have called it Prey and just showed like her in the trailers, like just shown her hunting and stuff, and then reveal that it's a Predator movie like halfway. That would have been
which
great.
I saw in an interview with Dan Trachtenberg that he had considered that, but figured it'd be too hard to pull that off. Like one leak comes out and then everyone knows. And
Yeah, there's no way to do that in
that would have been great
these days.
Watching it and also.
Yeah. I loved the opening sequence and that the title sequence and stuff. I thought that was really cool, and just having like Prey in that like Predator font, was a minor thing, but it was just cool. Cool way to do it. I was surprised that it was rated R. As we were finishing it, I remember thinking to myself like, oh, that was probably like only PG-13.
Yeah, it was. It really wasn't that bad. I mean, there's a lot of gutting animals, bears being ripped open.
Yeah, I guess there's more like
dismembered. There's probably blood. A lot of blood. More. It's probably just the blood. I mean, there's probably more blood than you think.
Yeah, but there's really no like language. Like, there's no a lot of like cussing or anything.
That's a great shot. I love that scene where the Predator's lifting the bear over his head, and blood just
just like gushing down. Yeah, there's a lot of great visuals, a lot of great shots in this. I really it returned to the roots of the Predator. It had some nice like visual and like dialogue homages to the first Predator movie. And so it
get to the chopper. Remember when she said that? No, they just say if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah, that was great. And she's in the mud and like she's leaning up against that like those roots, and it's very reminiscent that shot of Schwarzenegger. But it returns to the like roots of the Predator movie, and it kind of in a lot of ways redoes the first movie, but again just perfectly in that different setting, different drama, different characters and what they're going through. And it does that all without being tropey, because it does a few things that I as I was watching, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. As soon as they showed her dog, I was like, oh, that dog's gonna die.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that, because there was another moment too where I thought they were gonna do something where I was like, oh, this is gonna happen, but then it doesn't.
And then she gets captured by the French trappers, and I'm like, oh god, she's gonna have some awful brutal assault here, and it's gonna be like awful, uncomfortable to watch. And they didn't do that, thankfully, and they didn't kill the dog. And so I was just like, well, I'm glad that it was in a way predictable as a Predator movie, but then it wasn't predictable in just like things that you would expect these types of movies to do. So I think it was great. I really enjoyed.
There's a couple things like well, first of all, I thought this was great. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. Like, it was exactly what I thought it would be, and not in a bad way. It was like, yeah, this is what I want. Like, Predator, hunting down Comanche warriors, and that's exactly what it was, and it was perfect.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting the trappers and the hunters and stuff to be involved, but that was a great again.
I think I saw a screenshot of them there because they're not in the trailer, so I knew they were going to factor in somehow. But that was cool. I was so surprised when they showed up.
Yeah, and it made that nice parallel between them and the Predator, and his whole deal and stuff too. So it was an interesting. It was a good parallel. It was a good the whole thing was great. I agree. I really liked everything about it.
I think probably the most notable kind of criticism you can make is maybe some of the CGI is not super great. Especially with the animals, they use a lot of. There's a CGI bear in it. There's a CGI dog,
lion,
and a lion. Which those scenes were all great, but they didn't try to hide much of the bad CGI. The Predator looked pretty cool. They might have used a lot of the budget on him.
Yeah, I get that.
With CGI. But the rest of
the animals for the most part, I felt like they showed them enough, but they didn't overdo it. You know what I mean? They didn't focus on it. Especially the lion. You see the lion, and there's a scene where it's
the bear was the most noticeable one because there's a very pretty lengthy sequence with the bear.
Yeah,
but it's all right. It's fine.
And I think they had a real wolf for part of those scenes where they're just fighting the wolf. But then obviously the death and stuff was CGI. But so I think that helped too, of just having that mix there. But yeah, the bear, probably was the most. And the lion and stuff, that sequence happened at night, so it was a little easier to hide that. And
yeah. But yeah, this movie is it is a something to this franchise that they could just keep doing. I don't know if it would make it repetitive, but just throwing in a Predator on different time periods.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Dan Trachtenberg's, I saw an interview with him, and he was saying that was his main idea of if they've been here before, then it'd be cool to see him go up against various, different kind of warriors throughout history.
Yeah. I'd be all for, and depending on how crazy they want to get, it would be interesting to, it would be, I don't know how you would do this or if it would work story-wise or whatever, but it would be cool to just see, have it be, again, start off as a sci-fi movie with just these aliens, just another completely new civilization of aliens or whatever, some other planet we don't know anything about, and then it just, again, the Predator just shows up and he's hunting these aliens instead of coming to Earth, instead of hunting the xenomorphs, and just, it's a big universe. Why can't why is he only hunting aliens and humans? Get out there and do other maybe he would make
expand your horizons. Predator.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the challenge there is how technologically advanced you want to make it, because then it just becomes sort of a effects movie of different laser guns and aliens fighting aliens and stuff. Yeah. But it could be, you could make it an Avatar type of, we'll just make Avatar versus Predators.
Have your favorite movie franchise.
My favorite movie franchise ever. But you could have
Alien versus Avatar.
Alien versus Avatar versus Predator. 3-way battle.
They just destroy the Avatars. Yeah, and the whole the main character Naru.
Yeah.
And this was dumb about when people complain oh, well, how would she be able to defeat a Predator? First of all, every movie where they defeat a Predator, it's not a fist fight. It's not a hand-on-hand battle. They defeat the Predator by trapping it or using their wits to outsmart it.
Yeah.
So, which is why also there was a couple parts in this where they're they weren't bad, but I didn't need it. Where they're she's dodging under his legs and hitting him and things like that, which is fine. But also, I don't even need that. I like it when it's just sort of a rough and tumble. The whole Arnold fighting him is a perfect example where he's just being thrown about and crawling through the jungle and just getting his ass kicked, and it's a very rough kind of. But although I did like the scene where her brother comes in on the horse and is just whacking him, whacks him over the head. Comes up behind him. I thought it was really cool. And he was great too. That her brother, that actor.
Yeah.
Tave's the character's name. Dakota Beavers.
Yes.
Amber Midthumber, by the way, and also a great cast. They're all actual, Comanche descendants.
Yeah. And I
and
realized today as I was I rewatched a little bit of it. There's actually a Comanche dub.
Yeah. I was going to ask
the movie.
you if I actually put it on because I knew they had it, and I put it on in the background while I was watching it. It's just a dub, so they
Yeah.
I thought they had recorded it both in both dialects, but apparently they just recorded in English and then dubbed it over there. And actually, when I first started it, I was like, oh, you can tell it's dubbed, but they do a really good job of it. And it actually, as it goes on, kind of don't even really realize.
Yeah,
it's really cool to watch.
Yeah, it was, and
because also it was a little jarring at first when some of them talk with just straight American accents. It was kind of jarring a little bit, kind of noticeable.
Yeah,
but I understand why. But which is especially funny when they run to the French trappers and they're speaking French and the guy's translating to her. He's like, I can speak all languages, and they start speaking English. So I kind of almost just want to watch the movie only in Comanche now with subtitles.
Yeah, I mean that would be really, because it's not dialogue heavy, really. It's it's a Predator movie,
right?
And half of the dialogue is French that I don't understand anyway. So
French and Comanche,
yeah, so yeah, it is.
And Predator language.
It was great.
Yeah,
Predator growls and dog barks. I mean, you could just still enjoy it regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amber Midthunder was great. Everything about this is really cool, and it begs the question of why it wasn't in theaters. Have you heard anything of what the reasoning was that they didn't put this in theaters?
I think it was just made for a lower budget, and nowadays, I don't know specifically, but my guess is they just it was probably made for less money. It's a simpler concept, really. You see a lot more things going straight to streaming nowadays because there's so many things being made.
Yeah.
There was The Predator, which I don't know how well the Predator did. Even though, I do know it was kind of critically not well received, and
yeah,
I think that probably made them more hesitant to put it in theaters, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But, I think with its budget, it's simplified story and budget. They were we can just do this on streaming, especially because it's called Prey. So I don't know. It felt like
doesn't have the franchise recognition.
Yeah, it almost felt like not a spin-off, but a sort of more soft reboot, kind of a soft sequel in a way,
yeah,
just to make a
soft sequel.
Yeah.
But at this point too, what would you even call it? Because you have Predator, Predator 2, The Predator, Predators. I mean, what are you gonna do?
It's I don't know specifically, but it is funny how just it's getting. People are well receiving it, so they also kind of leave it off for a sequel in a way. Did you see? Did credits?
Yeah, I saw. I was reading an article today, and
they just showed the ships coming back.
Yeah. I saw that they were there's a post-credit scene. I was like, what? I didn't see it. So then I saw that it was in the credits animations of the native drawings and stuff.
That goes back to that revolver then in Predator 2.
Yes.
She has it now. That's now the tie-in to that movie, which is really cool of them to do, I think.
Yeah.
And
because it reminded me of in Predator 2, Danny Glover kills the Predator, and the Predators come down and they gather up his stuff. So they sort of respected Danny Glover for killing him or whatever.
No, he's at the end. He defeats that Predator on their ship. He's in their ship. And then it kind of doesn't make sense because all of a sudden I know where 10 Predators just appear and they're just there,
hanging out.
I can't remember if he finds it or I think they give it to him as a reward for defeating one of their own. They had,
being cool.
They had mad respect for him. And they give him
mad respect, Danny.
It's got that name on it, so cool. But that implies though that the Predators have that gun, which means. Maybe they get it back.
They get it back somehow.
Although I don't know if I want to necessarily see these same characters though, because I kind of like how that wraps up.
Yeah,
in a way. Maybe if it's a generation or two later of these same tribe or something.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Have And it could be like some other completely, somebody, it's passed down from generation to generation. It could be like sent. Then you can kind of get back to like the modern age and just kind of like get back to, you fall into the old same routine. I don't know what you would do. I want to see it, but I don't want to see it.
Yeah, same thing. I do want to see. How would you compare this then to the other movies?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you wanted to like rank them real quick. I think I would. This is up there. This is. I mean, this might even be like my number 2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of the Predator movies.
I mean, I think it's up there with. I think Predators is not far behind the original.
Yeah.
Predator,
Oh yeah.
And
without
I think
a doubt.
this is around there too. I think the only Predator 2 I do like, but it's definitely more noticeably flawed than these other movies. The Predator's way down the list.
It's a very different. It's a more sci-fi kind of movie, I guess, where the other movies are more action horror. If that makes, I don't know. There's a lot of action. I don't know how to describe Predator 2, but
yeah. How do you describe Predator 2?
How would you describe?
How would you describe it to someone who just came to Earth?
It's very 90s, if you know what that means. If you're an alien.
Do you know what the 90s are?
You know what the 90s aesthetic is? Well,
then I don't know what to tell you.
Then watch this movie and then you'll know.
Yeah, I recommend it. I don't know what else to say really about it. It's really good. And it shows that like it doesn't take much to make a good Predator movie. So I hope they make more and make them interesting. And
well, it was also very it was great that they put so much effort into like respecting the Comanche tradition and getting all the Native American actors and stuff for the movie, and they put that much effort. It was good to see that. Mm-hmm. And again, not realizing what the like colonists and the French trappers and stuff would be in there. Again, that really added another element to it, and just added to that character drama of the tribe and stuff, and just the whole thing. It was great. Everything about it I really liked. One thing I wanted to end with is the dog. I read an article today about the dog. It was a dog actor named Coco, who they adopted for this movie. He was not a dog, or she was not a dog actor.
Coco.
It is a girl dog.
Good job, Coco.
That they trained, as they made, were in production, trained this dog. And they said that she was kind of a hot mess. But was a very lovable dog, so they didn't really mind it that much. She was a very sweet dog, but she just was not because anytime a dog is in a movie, they've been trained for their whole life to be a dog actor, and so they hit their marks and they know all the little tricks and stuff. But Coco was sort of trained on the fly, and I thought, which is very surprising, because I thought the dog was very, really good.
They should have had Coco be the survivor, the one that killed the predator.
Well, again, I kept
that would be
every time. Yeah, I expected it to jump on the back of the predator and get thrown into a tree, or I was waiting for the dog.
Yeah, because it did run up that one at that one part.
Yeah. And Coco had some heroic moments. But I was glad that it was not killed. But and it's an American dingo is the breed of dog, which I'd never heard of, or they call it a Carolina.
American dingo ate my baby.
They call it a Carolina dog, which I've never heard, but they are a real breed, and they are again authentic, to the era. They're one of the earliest breeds of dogs, and came over across the Bering Strait, when the first people came into the Americas from Asia and the Eurasia and stuff. Right. So it was just really it was interesting. I read a whole article about the American dingo, Coco, and her part.
Did you say in the beginning this was North America, or the North American plains?
Yeah, I forget where I forget exactly. They said the setting, but
I think this was filmed. I think it was filmed in Canada, which probably helped with their budget in this movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah.
So I thought the Comanche were out of kind of southern, out of Oklahoma or whatever. But
well, they had and I think the language and the tribes and stuff were. I'm not a historian or anthropologist.
No. Since when?
So, but I think the language was spread throughout, and the various tribes were spread throughout and stuff. So
right,
they were kind of all over, and they were a larger tribe too. I know. So
yeah, read into that.
Yeah, you know what?
Something.
Yes, maybe this should inspire us and other viewers to kind of delve into the history and learn a little something.
Learn how horrible
entertainment
we were to everyone.
Yeah, well, if you didn't know how terrible the Native Americans were treated, then you definitely should know that. But yeah, just learn a little more about the culture as well.
There you go. One real quick thing we can go out on this. Do you ever want to see a Predator movie where the Predator wins and is not defeated?
I'm surprised that we have. I didn't want to see it here, obviously, because the Native Americans been through enough. But I was thinking that it's we should just have an alien, or even have a Predator movie. They could start out like we mentioned, on another alien planet, and just have him kill a bunch of aliens there.
Yeah,
and leave that planet and go, or whatever. I don't know. It just would make sense because I was thinking at the end of this, these aliens, these predators they kind of suck. They keep coming to Earth and just keep getting fucked up.
Another podcast I was listening to were talking about that too, about how they're kind of doofuses. They just, I mean, it's all for the sport, and they probably don't even care when they die because they all I mean, even the first one, he just kills himself. He doesn't even let Arnold. He just blows himself up. They just kind of are just whatever. This is what we do. I don't know.
It's part of
weird life.
Religion.
What a weird life that would be.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, but on the other hand, too, like I said, they sort of have that great white hunter vibe of, the colonialist game hunters and stuff, where it's just you want them to just get gored by a rhino. You want them to just get run over by an elephant, and just kind of you know what? Fuck these guys. These are idiots. Why are you doing this?
And they do.
So
that was brutal too when she she cut off the guy's leg and just and she just went to the camp and started killing everyone. I was surprised by that. When she was going back for the dog, she starts killing them all. And then I did one real quick thing. I did love when I think one of my favorite parts was when she's hiding because she had eaten that plant, which is another thing I didn't know if that made any sense or not, but whatever.
Yeah.
So the predator couldn't see her, but then the guy's on the ground, or you can't see him because she gave him the plant.
Yeah,
and she's watching to see what happens and everything. But then it's so funny how the predator doesn't see him, but then just steps on him and he screams, which made me think, which is great, and it just made me think that the guy just scared the shit out of that predator, and he was probably fuck. In his predator's mind, God damn it!
Run into a spider web.
Yeah, or stepping on a mouse or something. He's just he just steps on it, and the guy just screams, and he's just bam, bam, bam. Just kills him so fast. That was great. I love that.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, again, I don't know if there is a plant or drug that would do that, lower your body temperature that much. I mean, again, it's all the first Predator with the mud. That
it doesn't really make sense anyway.
That wouldn't work either. But I think it was just a way to do it without redoing the mud thing. Because I think when she fell in the mud, they again made you think oh, she's gonna realize that mud can block the Predator. Or, whatever. But which again, that it's just stupid for the Predator to only see or rely that much on his technology of seeing the.
Sorry, we'll end here, but that's what I do like about Predator 2 is that he does change his viewpoint. He's got different sets of vision, which I thought was cool in that movie, and they've never really followed that up in any of the other movies. But
yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame.
But I was glad that I am glad that they respected Predator 2 in Prey.
Sure.
Enough because that was one thing that Robert Rodriguez said, that he never really intended Predators to be a follow-up to Predator 2.
Yeah,
just
so he doesn't mention it.
Direct sequel to Predator, the first Predator.
Yeah, even though he almost put in Danny Glover.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't mention it in that movie either. It's just a shame.
But so yeah, it was nice. It was great. I hope
go watch Prey now.
Yeah,
Hulu.
go check it out. It's on Hulu.
Is it on Disney Plus too?
No, it's not. That was another thing. That was another thing. Yeah, I think maybe different countries that don't have Hulu or whatever. I just feel like Disney's trying to like promote Hulu more or something, and they put it on there. Like I just blame Disney for most.
You're mad that it wasn't on theater screens.
Yeah, I mean, even whatever the budget being, like if you have a lower budget, that just seems like more of a reason to put it in theaters because you're gonna make more money back. But whatever.
All right.
Seems it just seems like
okay.
Seems disrespectful to the actors. And all the effort that they put into it, like I said, of culture, representing the culture and stuff, and disrespectful to the Predator franchise.
Maybe the sequel will be in theaters.
Which, that would be weird then too. It was like, are you gonna re-release Prey in theaters before you do a sequel, or I don't know, but whatever, it's fine. It was really good, and I hope people watch it and enjoy it.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Approved by Josh Witsaman and David Tavolier.
Simpatico podcast, seal of approval.
Well, Josh, there's nothing to talk about. I guess it's time for us to leave.
And so it is. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find our most recent episode on SoundCloud, and you can find all of our episodes on iTunes or on our website, simpaticopodcast.com.
And if you'd like to be part of the conversation, join our Facebook group at The Simpatico Podcast, Friends of the Simpatico Podcast, or email us at simpaticopodcast@gmail.com.
Special thanks to Dana Galbraith for designing the show logo and its variants. Our theme song is The Cars That Ate New York by the incomparable Paul Rowland.
Thanks for listening, and see you next time.